Greetings War Thunderers, this is Longshot bringing you another Ace Masterclass, featuring Jengar flying the Cannon Hayabusa in arcade. These Ace Masterclasses feature footage recorded by some of the best pilots in War Thunder, to which I've added my own observations. The idea is, yes, to show off their exploits, and also to analyse what they're doing in the hope that us lesser mortals can learn from their flying. So in this game, Jengar is in the Ki-43 Mark III Otsu, which is a superb plane at high altitude due to its exceptional climb rate and energy dogfighting abilities. However, that's not where Jengar spends most of his time in this battle. He flies aggressively. He fearlessly goes wherever the targets happen to be. And while he does make some mistakes and has more than his fair share of luck, he also displays some superb skills in this game, which is why I've made an Ace Masterclass video on it. So to start with, he has a raging bull, otherwise known as a B-25, coming at him for a head-on. He turns slightly to the side to deny the bull an easy head-on shot, and then flips over and ducks underneath its guns, though he does take a little damage on the way. Now the aim is to get underneath the bomber, but first he has to make him overshoot, which involves looping over the enemy, and that briefly exposes him to his gunner, but he gets away with it. Okay, he's under him now. The gunner is out of play. The bull tries to pull up into the side to give the gunner another shot, but Jengar quickly chops off a wing for his first kill. And at this point, if it was me flying this plane, I'd be looking at that climbing J2M as my next target, but Jengar has other ideas. Why should he fly to a single target over 4 kilometers away when there's a whole train of them lining up beneath his feet? Now this plane is not a good high-speed boom and zoomer. Once he's down there, he can't retain that speed and just extend out again. Chances are he's going to have to dogfight. Okay, firstly he's picked up this I-16, who is the tail end Charlie here. The 109 breaks off to the left, but Jengar's going to ignore him for now. Just keep his speed high, and at close range he's going to zoom in, aim carefully while allowing for gravity, and make sure of his first kill. He continues straight on toward the Spitfire, but it's going to duck behind this hill and eventually crash into it. And at this point he could look to regain altitude, but no, there's another bogey around here somewhere. Right, there he is, and Jengar's perfectly placed to swoop on him from above. And I'll just pause and analyse the situation here. A Wildcat and a Focke-Wulf 190 are approaching from the left of the mountain, and a Yak 9 from the right. The overhead reveals 2 dots in close proximity. One will be the 109 he just shot down, but the other is unknown. And unfortunately he's not going to get a chance to look around as the Yak is closing quickly and he has to dodge its head-on attack, which he does with a snap roll. And then continues towards an IL-2, however Orange Tracer alerts him to the presence of a boom and zooming J2M which he needs to dodge with a split S, and that takes him straight back in the direction of the incoming Wildcat and Focke-Wulf 190, so he's forced to perform a series of evasive loops, during which he looks around but he's having a bit of difficulty locating his attackers. But he's in luck. They've all overshot and they've switched on to an unfortunate P-39. And it's just a matter of settling in now at the tail of the queue, and they'll all be laid out in front of him like a smorgasbord. And Jengar gladly helps himself to a generous serving of targets. But he does take a risk with this climbing 190. The minimap shows at least one more enemy close by, but he gets away with it. And now he's in a bit of trouble. There's still 3 enemies here, 2 of which are behind him, plus he has to duck the head-on from that lag. I believe he's aware of the bandits on his tail, which is why he's in an evasive dive here rather than a snap roll. And as he brakes hard, yes, there is a Spitfire 2B plus the Yak from earlier. They're moving quickly, so they've overshot, and that gives Jengar a moment's respite, in which he picks up the lag while taking machine gun fire from the Yak 9K, who must have been reloading his cannon. And that was a very lucky break. I'm also nervous about the Spitfire's whereabouts as Jengar finishes off the lag. Well, there he is. A bit of vapour trails from his wingtips indicating he's low on speed. And he runs out of ammo here, so he misses the kill on the Yak 9K, but the burst will be enough to make it run for safety. And that just leaves the low energy state Spitfire as an easy target. And look how terribly slow that Spitfire is. I'm not sure how he lost its speed. Possibly he pulled sharp turns with landing flaps extended, I don't know. But a slow spit is a dead spit. And somehow Jengar has survived an extended single-handed dogfight against at least 6 enemies, having killed 5 of them and scared 1 away. That passage of play really illustrates how deadly the cannon busa can be in the hands of a good pilot, but also how your life hangs by a thread once you enter a crowded dogfight at low altitude. At any moment a stray cannon shell could have set him alight or ripped off a wing, but he survived against the odds, and I don't blame him for taking a moment here to catch his breath. But when you think about what happened there, after killing the I-16 and the Bf-109, he was no longer in control of the situation. Combat was forced on him by planes with superior energy to his own, so he was constantly on the back foot, having to react. It was only through his quick reflexes and his ability to manoeuvre and his efficient shooting that he came out on top. And while I've been talking, he's approaching the enemy at a shallow, high-speed climb, and now he accelerates into a steeper climb in response to a Spitfire that's flying toward him. That was the Spitfire he just shot down, in fact. And the cannon busa is, of course, a brilliant climber. Such a light plane with excellent power-to-weight ratio and low wing loading, and Jengar is using that to encourage the Spitfire to helicopter after him. And yes, the Spitfire has taken the bait, setting himself up to be rope-a-doped. In fact, he starts blazing away at over 1 kilometer's range as he hangs from his propeller. All Jengar has to do is wait. And here we go. The Spitfire's nose has already dropped, though, so Jengar's left this a little late, but even so he manages to nail the Spitfire before it can get away. Okay, so will he zoom climb now? Hell no, not when there's 2 more targets to shoot down. Nicely done, especially as it took him back in the direction of his own fighter spawn and away from the enemies. So after the hectic dogfight at the start, Jengar showed some surgical precision by using the cannon busa as an energy fighter, and that takes his tally up to 11 kills already. So the question is, what's he going to do next? He could climb and tackle the Focke-Wulf 190, Yak and P-47 at altitude, but no, there's 2 closer targets below him, and Jengar's in no mood to pass them by. And the Yak-9 is completely exposed to his deflection shot from above, as is the IL-2. But this little sequence here is going to govern the rest of the battle. By doing this, he's put himself below a bunch of enemy fighters very close to the enemy fighter spawn, and he's attacked in a direction that takes him toward them rather than away, which means that once again he's going to have to deal with people attacking him as he did earlier in the battle. P-39's down, but he's picked up a P-63 and was lucky to survive. Even more fortunate that the guy wants to turn fight with him. There he is. And look at all those inbound fighters from the spawn. Jengar has staked himself out at low altitude very close to them, and there's going to be no escape from this situation. And for the moment though, they're coming at him one at a time, as he ducks under a Yak-1B's attack and then finally gets a shot at the P-63. And then dodges a second attack, there, and then the Yak switches to a friendly Spitfire, which allows Jengar to pick him up. Note how Jengar's using a lot of loops to conserve his energy, and this is a really nice shot here, adjusting smoothly to the Yak's change of direction. He hugs the cliff face there, and rightly so, as a Yak-9 attacks at high speed and is forced to overshoot. Things are really starting to heat up now. And that Yak really should have extended away, but he decided to turn, and that's cost him his speed, and Jengar is going to make him pay with a beautifully aimed shot as he tries to dive underneath. I'll just pause for a moment. He now has 3 planes approaching at close range and about to open fire, and that's just the ones we can see, as the minimap shows a lot of red dots in the area. The friendly Spitfire's been shot down as well, so Jengar for now is completely isolated, and he's going to have to dance like Fred Astaire to survive this, so let's see how he goes. And of course everything goes black as he pulls a bunch of G-forces, doesn't take any damage though, and he sees a P-47 that wants to turn fight, but in all the excitement he's neglected to reload and has to wave goodbye to an easy kill. I'm glad I'm not the only one who makes that mistake. And once again, Jengar has a bunch of bogeys on his 6 and he's forced to dive hard and turn while hugging the mountainside. There's at least 2 planes behind him with superior speed, so he lifts up and forces another overshoot, rolling back in an attempt to pick up the Yak-7B. But he can't afford to hang up in the air turn fighting like this. Indeed, he has to let the Yak go and dodge a head-on from an LA-5. And once again he's taking damage, and by some miracle he is still in the air. He's been joined by a friendly Yak-1 and has time to take a shot at both the Yak-7 and then the LA-5. For a moment the enemy team have given him a reprieve, and here's why. They're all in a furball directly underneath their fighter spawn. And I imagine Jengar rubbing his hands with glee the moment he sees this, but unfortunately at this point he begins to struggle to get kills. His guns have dropped planes with ease up till now, but it seems to take forever to shoot down that buffalo. Let's see how he goes with the LA5. Through the trees, and finally he'll put it down with a close range deflection shot. And it's been quite a while since he last looked around, but he does so now in the nick of time as there's a horde of planes on his tail, and once again he's incredibly lucky as he takes even more damage and still he is in the air. He has no time to look around again. He has to concentrate on more terrain hugging on the assumption that he still has attackers on his 6. But wait, there's a 190 right in front of him. He can't ignore such a golden opportunity to score his 20th kill, and again he's unlucky not to drop it immediately. His guns are sparkling, there's Tracer flashing past him, he's taking more and more hits, but Jengar's had enough of dodging and dancing. He wants this kill, and honestly, who could blame him? Cannon's just about reloaded, so here's the shot, 20 kills, and there goes his right wing. So was this the most efficient way of flying a Hayabusa? Can we use Jengar's tactics as an example of how to regularly get a high kill count? I'd have to say no. He threw caution to the wind and deliberately dived under the enemy fighter spawn. He knew he'd be attacked, but he didn't care. He was just out to kill enemy planes as fast as possible. And from watching his videos, I know that's not how he normally flies, but on this occasion he just went for it and gave us a wild and thrilling roller coaster ride, a great example of the sheer enjoyment you can get from playing War Thunder. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and I look forward to reading your comments, and I'm sure Jengar will be too. If you'd like to support me in making these videos, please visit my Patreon page and don't forget to subscribe. Until my next vid, I'll be seeing you in the skies.